Cool. Mike, so how did it go? I know I was on with you and Matt. You want to just kind of give a quick update on
Yeah.
what's going on?
So I think I think we're coming close to having the love token rolling out on basically on a live network. So basically talked to Matt this morning to try to get I guess have him more or less informally code review the code so that he could pull it into his master repo. And then basically at that point, it's going to be on the live node. So basically it'll officially be part of the token network. And then we talked about some small stuff that he needed to commit on his end to the code to have everything talking correctly. So basically, Matt said sometime probably by the end of the weekend he was gonna pull in my code, and then it'll be live. So that was pretty awesome.
I have just a few announcements for the team. So I've been working with both Charles and Lawrence behind the scenes because I know officially we haven't been getting paid. You guys haven't been getting paid for all the hard work that you contributed to this project, and we'll continue to do so moving forward. But you know, I spoke to Charles, and Charles has graciously added everybody on the call that I can see to the green project that we just recently added to Jarvis. So if you're looking into your account, if you haven't already noticed, you should be added. And if you're not, definitely want to get with me and Charles. And then also for the Jarvis token or the Jarvis program itself, the original cryptocurrency, I've been talking to Lawrence, and he's going to add us all to that one for free as well. So just kind of heads up, you know, this is, I guess, is a token to the hard work that you all have been doing. And just, you know, keep it up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool. Great. So yeah, that's great news. So let's actually, there are a few things I wanted to start talking about as this comes together. I guess, Mike, the front end stuff you're still kind of working on, right? So there's really nothing.
Yeah, I have to iron some stuff out a little bit left functionality wise. I'm having a little fight with the computer right now, but it's only one more hurdle, and then everything else is cosmetic.
Yeah, so I wanted to chat about, now that we're getting stuff ready, I want to kind of talk through just high level token architecture. I don't know if it's white paper. I guess it might be white paper, but we don't really, you know, I've kind of rethought a few things, you know, and just to kind of get this conversation going on. So I think now that we've got, like, this is definitely, like, it's gone from originally the plan was, you know, we were just going to do something quick to throw something up on the exchanges. And with the regulatory side and things like that, we've gone more towards a route of, you know, let's actually build something. And I actually like this route. And specifically, I want to talk kind of next steps and how we're actually going to go about implementing this. And what I really want is, I want this to be like a community-driven initiative. And in order to make it, obviously, you know, there's a level of fairness, right? So like the three of us or the four of us plus Victor and Jerome, you know, we're all putting more into the community than, say, the average person that just, you know, might be waiting for an update. So I want to get to thinking, it's like, I don't know if I want to call this a pivot or anything like that, but the original plan was we would allocate like 10% of the token pool out of the whole amount, and it would start with, you know, what Lawrence and myself and Mark had, and we would just be like doling it out almost in the form of like how a company functions, you know what I mean? But now as this is going and as this is evolving, I think, you know, whether the token becomes, you know, maybe some type of traceability in the marijuana space with what Matt's doing, or some of these other opportunities that have opened up for us, I really think we can start from almost like a ground zero type approach, where we're all coming in together, you know what I mean? And then it's like, there's going to be some set aside. Maybe it's 5 or 10% as a mining reward. Like how like some of these white papers, they say like what 10% goes to the miners, or like of everything, of every block that comes out, 10% goes to overhead and 5% goes to this and 2% goes to charity. So there'll be that for the team, but really on the implementation side, it's whoever gets in on it should be all be able to get in on an equal footing, and no one should have, dibs. Obviously the people that are here, we're going to get dibs by de facto, but it's not dibs because of any like special thing. It's dibs because, started working on something earlier and it's just more efficient. Like if you're in first, do you see like that's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to kind of get your guys' opinion, on this, because now that we've got this going, the next step is to start establishing out, nodes on the network. We have a build that's kind of out there, and I'm thinking, and literally implementation for these initial token nodes, because like the work is simple and like we might change it a few times. I'd say like let's put a test net together, distribute a bunch of Raspberry Pis out there. We'll probably, as it develops, decide on like really writing out a white paper and a plan and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like that's the right way to do it versus, me and Lawrence coming up with something and then saying, hey, this is what it is and this is what we're all running with. I'd like to kind of get your guys' feedback on that, because we still do have that plan, but I'm kind of thinking things over a little more. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm listening to you talking about like basically reward for effort. I mean, yeah, we definitely put all the effort in. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's a good way to get people involved in the project if you incentivize it.
Yeah, and incentivize it for, a variety of ways. You know what I mean? It's not just like, hey, this is what it is and we're giving you a package, but saying, hey, we're all building this together, and it truly becomes a community-driven thing that whoever joins the community and wants to really run with it. And, some people will join it in a bigger way and some people will join it in a smaller way, to really drive it all. Otherwise, it's on like the backs of a few people. And, people will come and go and things like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, and I think that it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there still has to be a fairness. There has to be a fairness thing, right? Because like for the work you've done, Mike, for the work Terrence has done, for the work Justin's done, we can't put them on parity with someone who just hops in and says, oh, okay, I got my Raspberry Pi and I'm kind of mining away. You know what I mean? Like we have to account for everything everyone's done. But I think I'm leaning towards this, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm leaning towards this on this front, just because I want to get more I want to not just get more participation, but I want people to have the chance to participate and actually like get impact, versus just like, you know what I mean? Versus just being like someone else in the chain.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll still see where that goes. This is just literally in the ideation phase. Victor, do you have any thoughts on that front, or?
I was thinking, it sounds like a good idea. My thing is, are we documenting this anywhere so we can kind of really sit down and look at it for what it is? Because I think it's a good idea. I think in order to receive more participation, we have to reward people accordingly, right? And, yeah, and if we don't have that reward system, then I guess there's no incentive other than just to sit back and wait for things to happen. Because I think that was one of the earliest challenges I had, being the program manager for this project. I could not find the incentive other than the passion for blockchain technology to bring people on board. Other than, say, well, when we get the token going, we will compensate you accordingly. But again, that's not guaranteed, right? So I like the idea, basically, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, that's good. Yeah. I mean, the short term will be, we'll be setting up a test net. All you need is a Raspberry Pi or like an Amazon thing, so we can set this up. So now the test net will enable the test net will enable things. And I'm at this initial stage of not having a, call it, you know, putting concrete reward system in place until we have, you know, 10 or 20 people on the test net and we can all kind of brainstorm and collaborate on, you know, how are we going to build this thing together? You see what I mean?
Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Yeah,
I
I'm
think that'll
just
be kind of fun.
important about documentation is all.
Yeah, no, I understand. So documentation, I mean, for this recording, I'll disseminate it. I mean, this is like all our meetings recorded and it gets auto-transcribed. So, you know, no need to take notes, right? You can just kind of read through what people said. And the auto-transcription isn't perfect, but between watching it and stuff like that, you know, you can get a feel. And it's easy, it's quicker to read. Cool. No, it's a good, I'm happy that you guys are doing that. And it's really happy because then, like, it actually fulfills kind of the mission of what this is about. It becomes more congruent.
Cool.
Cool. Wanted to talk a little bit also. So Mike and I and Jerome got into a talk about security and private key encryption. And I wanted to kind of expand that thought. So Mike, do you know enough? Do you want me to start it, or do you want to maybe kind of give an overview of what we were chatting about?
I mean, yeah, so, I mean, I had been looking into encrypting the JSON key store that I'm using for my part of the web wallet because I don't feel comfortable just throwing out basically unencrypted private keys. And so we started talking about it with Matt and Jerome, and you know, we threw some ideas around. Jerome was a fan of the mnemonic method. I don't know if you've used like Mu or MetaMask, where you can just put like a series of words, and then that basically encrypts your data. And so I was looking at before there was like a password encryption type method, and so but yeah, I think that, you know, especially because we're using Ether and Neo, we need some sort of safe method to store the private keys. And we don't want to do it server side. We don't want to store it ourselves, obviously, because we care about decentralization and, you know, we don't want the liability of everybody's private key on our server. So, you know, we're probably gonna look into a way to encrypt the actual key stores.
Well, there was actually two there. So in fairness, there was two trains of thought on this. One was, you know, as you create your key with as you generate the new wallet, there's always a key for your wallet, right, to do what you need to do. And one was we should encrypt that key, so if the new user gets the wallet and gets the key, it's encrypted because that seems to be the way to go. Now, the other thing that came up was really storage and encryption of the key should be in the hands of the consumer because we don't know what's good for them or we don't know what it is and things like that. And why should we even encrypt it? Because most people will just lose their stuff anyways. And the last thing we want is, oh, where's my key? You know what I mean? Like, should we do like, no matter what we do, for some people it'll be too much. And for other people, it'll be not enough. So should we just put that all on the user to let them encrypt their key and then hopefully provide training or the necessary utilities so that like they know what they're getting into? You see what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think the user should have options. I think you should have the option to encrypt your JSON file or whatever. I think you should have the option, and I think we should make it clear, you know, like how when you set up a Mu wallet, they drag it out of you like, dude, you can't lose this. This is super important, you know, and you get like 4 or 5 prompts before you even create a wallet on like safety and security. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you took the means to fight that liability. And so nobody can really at the end of the day say, you know, it's our fault because we told them a million times before. You know, I think that's the route we should go. Is just like, you know, we tell you what you got to do. If you don't do it, that's on you. and you have the opportunity to encrypt this, and we will have the information on how to store this safely and stuff like that. You know, this whole thing is about outreach and education. I think that's the best route, is to give people the option, you know.
What do you think, Justin or Terrence or Victor?
I've seen some wallets where there's like, you can either use a mnemonic, or you'll have like use a private key, a cryptic key, or that JSON file. So that gives them several options. But I do totally agree with Mike 100%. I like my Ether wallet, how they put it out there. Where the first time you launch it, you have to go through each of these, these screens that, basically give you all the disclaimers that you should not do this, you should not do that. Because as you know, being in a group, some people, they tend to say that they never heard or they weren't told about certain things. We want to make sure that I see that all the time. Well, they never told us about this, So I want to make sure that that everybody's aware, and so that they don't lose trust. So we want to make sure that things are obvious to everyone who's using this.
No, I agree, because there's a lot of that. I guess, I mean, I'm even guilty of it myself, right? It's like, if I get pulled over by a cop with a speeding ticket, I'll say, oh, I didn't see the sign, despite the fact that, the sign might be 5 feet away from me or something. That's just how we all are, right? So we're all going to load the thing on, we're all going to put the keys in, or we're not going to put the keys in. And despite the big orange button that says, like, warning, you need to encrypt your key, someone's going to lose their key or not pay attention. And they're going to say, oh, I didn't know I had to lose my key, but now I have $1,000 of whatever in there and I can't get it, and you guys suck, or I don't know, so that's...
You show a little box that says, do not show this again. So they have to physically push that button so they won't see those splash screens again.
Well, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And you have to realize this is the crypto market now. If they're in this market, I think what we're trying to kind of teach is that you're managing your own funds, right? Because cryptocurrency is not like the traditional banking financial markets, where we trusted this third party to maintain our money. And in this case, I guess our keys. Yeah, so I agree. I think we should make it visible, let them know, remind them. And as Terrence pointed out, they want to take it off, let them take it off as an option. But they need to be aware that, yes, this can, if you don't take care of this, this will be an issue for you. I agree.
Okay. Well, we'll start with that, and then as we roll it out for testing with our user base, I'm sure we'll get all sorts of feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Cool. I know, Justin, you got some updates on the UI side. Do we want to just kind of run through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Just let me know when you can see everything.
Yep, we see the screen. Nice.
So, we got it. Any feedback, did you guys, I think everybody in here has already seen it. I didn't really have an issue with anything on the desktop version. It was just, I'm using older phones, so I have a Samsung S3, which I told somebody that the other day, and it ruined their day because I was using an old-ass phone. And then I have I believe an iPhone 4S. So the formatting on those, everything looks good except for the navigation menus on my phones. And they're functional, but they're not aligned properly. So I don't know if anybody had any feedback or,
Actually, I think it's good because I think Victor's looking at like apprentices or people to actually act as testers. And we
Right.
get different versions of the phone so we can make notes of it.
Yep.
Yeah, so he, I don't know what thread I was talking on, but yeah, it was on the dev chat group or whatever, but I mentioned that, when you design a page like this, Google Webmaster Tools gives you the ability to view you know, a perspective view on various devices that are, you know, the most common. So you can literally go back to older versions of the iPhone, Samsung, whatever it is, and actually see how it appears on those platforms, and they provide that for free. So he told me how far he went back, but I don't remember. But it was, they basically just used, you know, the most popular devices, and I guess everything checked out. So as far as I can tell, man, everything is good enough to launch, you know, ASAP.
Nice.
So did you guys need anything additional? Any comments, suggestions? You know, next steps?
Yeah, so my quick question here, and I think this is geared toward Charles. Charles, how do you kind of see this user face interacting with the other two tabs for the wallet? So, you know, we have this one for love. Is the Neo going to be something similar to this, or are we going to go with the Ether wallet background? How? Because it just seems like we got multiple user interfaces and it's not uniform throughout.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about what you said and everything on this front. I mean, we're probably...
Yeah, because it looks like, I think we're using a predominantly white background.
Yeah, so how would that fit in? I mean, part of it is like you just got to put something together first, right? So if I were to go into... Wait, hold on. Let me see, and then I'll get... Hold on. Oh, I forgot the A. Let me share my screen and let's take a look. Okay, you see addresses and stuff like that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side, we have our love interface, and and left-hand side we have the My Ether wallet interface. I mean, I think from a Unity perspective, and then what is this? The Neon. I don't know if Drone actually, Drone hasn't updated it yet or anything. Or let's see, create wallet. Yeah, that's basically none of the other stuff. I mean, there has to be some level of uniformity of interface, right? Because it's like, if I click on Ethereum and see this, if I click on Neo and see this, and if I click on Love and I see this, that's going to be a little confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see the need for uniformity.
Now,
Now,
you also want to have some differential, because if there isn't a difference, people might forget that they're in Ethereum versus they're in Neo, or they're in Love, or they're in, you know, whatever else we add, you know.
Easy remedy with the symbol of each, right? If we have uniform fronts throughout, but we have these significantly sized symbols, or, you know, for the like, and it has the love token icon, and for the Neo or NEP5, it has its own icon, that'll be sufficient enough. But just on a professional standpoint, because we're going to market this, you know, if there's no uniformity, it's going to be a half-assed.
Yeah.
I don't want to come up.
It kind of looks janky if you have it two different formats.
No, I agree. So I kind of like how it turned out. I mean, I kind of like, you know, the look and feel on the one on the right for now.
well, that was based initially on the first Love token page, the little test page that we did.
Yeah.
I believe from getlovetokens.us or something like that.
I think I might default it to the send screen
Okay.
for the history versus the my account.
Yeah, that can be done, I think, by Mike.
Yeah, that's easy to do. I mean, I'd probably, you know, if you look at it, I mean, basically, I mean, these are very similar if you look at it. It's just balance is on the right. In this case, balance is on the left. Address is on the left, and your address is on the right. Right? Maybe you add this little print thing. I don't know if that makes sense, or you've got a detail for the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's probably some type of what is this? I guess the buttons don't even work. Okay, you send. That's the send. Here's the send. Here's the send here. We have the to address and the amount. I mean, that's all you really need on a wallet, right? You just need to know your amounts and your to addresses.
Yeah, especially for a rudimentary love project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even this was the Neo wallet, if we just, I guess the next step would be, can we have him duplicate this interface with Ethereum and with Neo? You see what I mean?
With Victor's suggestion, because it's similar to what Jax does, it changes the symbol. It has like a little, like 1 second screen where it shows a new symbol, and then it kind of makes it obvious. Maybe the symbol and the color change.
Exactly. So
that way it's obvious. It'll go from maybe like from a love to a yellow to purple or whatever, depending on the type that you're using.
Yeah, all that's easy.
Yeah, it looks like pretty easy because it looks like the love interface looks pretty nice. If you can just pass values from the back end to populate it.
It's back end values, and then there'll probably be a drop down because love is our token chain. There should be a drop down or like an add, like under Neo you might add ontology or blah blah blah. Under Ethereum you might add all the ERC21s. So we'll just have some sort of a drop down to add your own specialized token. Like in Jax, right? They've got the base ERC21. They've got Ethereum. Then you have all the other ERC21s in there.
Oh, I got somebody said that the commas on the value.
Yeah, don't worry about those. Those are all they'll be correct. That's just a an example. Yeah. It just needs to be able to support a certain number of characters. That's all that is. So those zeros can actually be numbers without the zeros. It could be symbols, anything. We just needed to make sure it supported, I believe, 1 trillion spaces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
1 trillion characters.
Do we do a receive button? Like maybe we start with balance.
So we're gonna do that. We're gonna have a receive button. Jaron was talking about like basically a QR code generator that he saw. And so yeah, I mean that's super easy compared to like everything else. Like that's part of the easy part. I kind of consider that cosmetics.
But I don't understand why you needed, let me see, because you're providing them with your love address, and then
it's for convenience. So you just press, you know how you go to like a exchange or something, and you press like deposit instead of withdraw or whatever, and then it gives you a QR code. And I mean, if this is a phone app, then if we're gonna end up making this a phone app, that would make it super useful. But I mean, it's okay now, but I mean that's kind of just the way that people do it. Like they give a QR code and an address, and allow copy and pasting of address. I mean that makes it super easy and convenient. That's the best way I think to do it.
Okay, so you can add that on your end. You're saying?
Yeah, that's actually pretty simple. I've been trying to put out the real fires before I go for the extra pretty stuff. You know.
Okay, so here's okay, so if we look at this, on the top would be kind of which chain. Do you do that, or do you do something where if, I was actually just looking at the jacks, and it's actually kind of cool how they do it, where, let me draw on this so we can draw a little bit. Hold on. Oh wait, what is this? Sorry, wrong thing popped in. Or maybe I'll just draw that. Okay, so here's the love interface, and right now, maybe we put Ethereum here. You have ETH. And then you have love. And then you have Neo. And then do we just have on the side like an add coin?
Yeah.
I mean, with love, it won't. So that was kind of the original thought I had. Was like, do we do a token page, or do we do a love page, or do we do a token and a love page? Because we want to highlight love, so it should get its own page, but technically it's on a different blockchain that we support.
Well, love would be ultimately the delimiter for eventually the other blockchain would back in under love, right?
Yeah. Because honestly, that is just like right now everything's hard coded for love, but like I guess what I was thinking is like maybe that's cool, you have a love wallet, but I was thinking we could support the whole token blockchain on a page similar to the Ethereum, the way you do with all the tokens on Ethereum, but you won't have to add coins because the way it's set up is it's all hard coded. So, we'll already know what tokens are on that blockchain, and you can just put all the different tokens out.
Well, but there's no way you'll ever be able to put all the tokens in. There has to be some type of usability, right? Because anyone can throw out an ERC20 token.
I'm talking for token. The token.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
With Ether and Neo or ERC20 and stuff, you definitely want to control that because otherwise they'll have a bunch of crap coins on there.
Well, but they should be able to add them in, right, on their own, on their local interface?
I think the functionality is pretty much allows that now, or some rendition of that. I'm not sure how far Jaron's gotten with that, but I'm pretty sure that's not super hard to do.
Okay, so there'd be like some sort of we'll start with just kind of the 3 high-level blockchains, and right now because token isn't running, it'll just be the love blockchain. We'll just call it love, we'll call it Ethereum, we'll call it Neo, and they can click on the Ethereum and then see it defaults, it shows Ethereum, and then if you want to add more to it, like Civic or Aragon or all those other ERC20s, there's like a drop down that lets you put in the contract number or something.
Yeah.
It appears. So now you have your Ethereum tokens being stored, or all the ERC20. And the same with Neo, right? If you add ontology or these other things off the Neo blockchain, that's the case. And then over time, as we include more blockchains, we then add more options.
Yep.
Up here.
And you want to roll that out for the initial love launch?
No, the initial launch is just Ethereum, Love, and Neo. And then within the subset of Ethereum, you can add, the ERC20 tokens, or within the subset of NEO, you can add the NEP5 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
But probably here we have, like we said, the same interface, different logos. So if I then go click on this button here, this changes out to the Ethereum logo. This
Okay.
shows, the number on the Ethereum blockchain. This shows the transaction history, and there's the balance amount or whatever, and then it's like we have a send, we have a history, and then we have a receive button. And the receive button just gives you the address with maybe the QR code or whatever.
I was thinking also, since on the front screen, how it shows my love address, it would show my ETH address. It would update that also.
Exactly. So when you're on the Ethereum block, good catch.
Yeah, everything would, conform to whatever the token is or whatever.
Yeah, so then this becomes the Ethereum address, and then this history shows, the transaction and receipt of, Ethereums or Neos or whatever it is on that side. And then under Ethereum, what we should do is add a drop down here, right? So you've got kind of like the parent tree, right? So this is Ethereum. And then if I could do a drop down, and I could see all my ERC20 tokens, and then if I click on that, it just updates with the ERC20 ones that I have preloaded.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so what are the next steps then, Justin? Is that enough? And then we get execute the payment, and then we get the CSS and the code over to Mike and Jerome so they can start implementing?
So you got a few options. You can pay right now. You can do one payment for what already has been done, or I can, negotiate with him to add, I guess, all the additional functionality that we just discussed, and then we do one big payment. I don't think anything that we discussed would take more than a week. It seems like a few days worth of work.
I think the progress payments are good.
What was that?
I think like you mentioned in the first one about progress payments would be good.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll pay him for what's been done. Then we'll get it in, and then we'll get Mike and Drone to implement that.
Right.
Then we'll have, I'm sure, more ideas once it's implemented. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, if we just keep having him do stuff, we'll never implement anything, and it'll just keep spiraling.
Right.
We'll get massive scope creep. So yeah, I think as it is, it's a starting point. I think, let's just put it into that interface. So the Neo is going to fit that, and the Ethereum to add an extra button or something. I mean, Mike, for you to do it, or Jerome to do it, or even for me to do it, that's not that hard to do. It's just a logo.
Yeah, it's like 2 seconds.
So we don't need that, but we'll get some, we'll have a more put together product.
Yeah.
And then we'll have ideas once the product is more put together, so we actually make progress.
Yeah, my goal for the front end guy wasn't it was more for more professional styling, and then me or Jaron or Charles could clean up the little extra stuff, or if we add functionality, the style sheet was the most important thing to me, is because that just basically gives functionality to whatever button you add, and that kind of stuff. So it's just we don't have to worry about all that and the decoration and making it look pretty and stuff.
All right, so Charles, he, like I said, prefers to be paid with a wire. He sent a link called remitpayment.com, and I courtesy copied you and Vic. Let me know what else you need. He also sent us PayPal. The way he described it, he'd prefer to get the wire, but if it's an inconvenience to use that new system, because I think you do have to create an account, you could just use his PayPal email address.
PayPal would be easier unless you've got wires going back and forth and stuff like that.
I've got wires.
Refund.
Yeah, not to him per se, but we wire to India quarterly. So I'm just familiar with the process.
The problem with the wire is there's always a wire fee too, right?
$45. Yeah, 45 bucks.
It doesn't make sense to pay $45. I mean, he's only charging us a couple $100, right? So
yeah, but the issue is on his side, when he gets paid from PayPal, it's a higher fee. So he'd rather us take the, shoulder the burden for the fees on our end so that he gets basically 100%.
Well, we'll just add 5%. I mean,
yeah, that's
$45 is just, let's just add 5% or whatever. I mean, the PayPal fee is not more than 5%. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And the wire fee is $45 for what the total is like 10 or 20% of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like dealing in China. I mean, they're not going to let you send them PayPal on Alibaba because they're going to lose too much, so they're going to want wire.
Yeah.
You can't take crypto? Right?
I don't even know if this guy trades crypto, to be honest.
Yeah. Well,
but he's very happy to be able to add this to his resume, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, that'll be good. I mean, it's funny that you bring this up. I'm doing something with Youssef. We're trying to set up a trading account. And to do it requires me to, basically wire $10,000 to some, sketchy Polish exchange or whatever.
Don't do it.
So I wired the money, and that was 3 weeks ago, and then they couldn't find the money, and they lost it, and that. In hindsight, I was just like, crap, I should have just they take Bitcoin too. I should have just sent the Bitcoin. So now after this international sleuthing thing, 2 weeks later we actually found the money, but I have to do a bunch of KYC stuff to prove that it was actually my money. It's oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sending a Bitcoin would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
You're gonna end up on Robert Mueller's list, right?
Yeah. No, that's funny. Okay, good stuff. So Justin, why don't you give me the details? We'll get the payment made and we can get the CSS released, and then we'll hand that over to Mike and Jerome, and we'll just keep making progress on that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so Charles, now that we've got that knocked out, I want to start thinking a little bit long term. So eventually, we are bringing the Jarvis coin to the token blockchain, correct?
We are not sure yet whether it's token or whether it's Neo, or whether it's Neo or it's token. I mean, it's one of those things. If you look at strategically speaking, Tron launched on Ethereum first. EOS did their thing on Ethereum first. I mean, a lot of these guys are piggybacking off the other ones. So the answer eventually is yes, but interim-wise, we still might ride another blockchain for a variety of other reasons. You see what I mean?
No, fair enough. Because the only reason I asked for the obvious, you answered that first part. But secondly, if we do decide to go with token, to me, it just doesn't seem like token has been vetted long enough. And this is nothing against Matt. I don't know.
I absolutely agree on that. I mean, they're two separate conversations to have.
Right. So as long as you see what I'm saying too, then that's fine.
Well, this is why we said it's going back to, I want everyone's opinion on this and everything. And as we've gotten more progress here, we'll restart conversations with the Neo guys and things like that. Because the reality is, we're not in the, maybe we do raise, maybe we do ICO or whatever on that front. If we still go down that route, running it over Neo or running it over Ethereum is going to be so much more efficient.
So we haven't decided yet on proof of work or proof of stake, or if we're going to use master nodes versus just mining or whatever.
We've got some ideas and stuff like that, but that all needs to be kind of hashed through too, right? I think what we'll start with is maybe set up 10 or 15 nodes so we can just start playing around and start sending some tokens back and forth, knowing that, and I know the current algorithm is proof of work. And I think the test net will give us insight. Because the other thing too is things keep changing, right? And I'm not saying it changes, but people are learning more wow, everyone was running to proof of stake for everything. Then they're finding that proof of stake is having some problems and people are getting compromised. It's one of those things that's it's developing. So to say there's a hard and fast thing, I mean, heck, you look at half of these projects, they're changing their consensus algorithms, 3 months into it anyways too. So we're no different than anyone else.
Yeah.
I think part of it is as more people get involved with it, it'll become a stronger, you know what I mean? So assume that the 5 of us or the 6 of us or the small group that we have, like, have enough vision to account for everything that's going to happen. You know what I mean? I think it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a lot of work for us, and half of us are devs, half of us are not. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I agree.
No, but this is good. We've got this. It's just another step. We keep building momentum, and I'm pretty happy with how things are coming along. Hopefully you guys are too.
No, I agree. I think we've made a lot of progression. It was definitely touch and go for a while, but I see that things are picking up. I'm definitely excited.
Great. Alrighty, guys. Well, thanks a lot. Good stuff. Justin, send me the details, and we'll get that squared away. And see you guys next week. Alrighty?
Very cool.
Good. Talk to you guys later.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
All right.